Hello and welcome back to the Dugout. This is episode 52. I'm joined by one of my co-hosts today, Mr. Alexander Cruikshanks. We obviously had a bit of a hiatus, 2 weeks because of holidays and whatever. A lot's happened in Scottish football and the footballing world. First of all, we want to address the Diogo Jota situation of him and his brother's unfortunate passing. And we wish all our condolences to the family and the club at this time.
Yeah, it was shocking. I was actually on holiday in Portugal, and I woke up and I looked at my phone and the first thing popped up and I was like, "What the hell?" You know what I mean? For some reason, I couldn't quite process it, so I checked like multiple sources, and yeah, Diogo Jota and his brother Andre passed away in a car accident. So yeah, it's horrible. It's a horrible loss. So young, 25 and 28 years old. Um, so yeah, I need, you know, what made it just made it more heartbreaking. He got married to his high school sweetheart just 2 weeks before. I think he has three kids, and his mum as well. His mum lost both her kids in one go. So yeah, really horrible.
Yeah, and the prime years of his life, and both on the pitch and off the pitch sense. As you said, getting married just days before, and off the back of a really good season, footballing wise. But yeah, but it's really distressing. Some of the stuff we've seen as well, just really upsetting. But we
Yeah,
thought we should address it, because obviously we've not had time to address it since it happened. But moving on to Scottish football, there's obviously been a lot of stuff that's happened. The Premier Sports Cup has got underway with one match day down. We'll focus on that a bit later, but first of all, we're going to start with the main transfer stories of the couple of weeks. Rangers taking most of the headlines. I think we'll start there with the business Rangers have just completed today.
yeah. Just about 20 minutes before we start recording, Rangers announced the signing of Diego Gassama from Sheffield Wednesday. I believe it's a 4-year contract. This one I've kind of been known about for a while. I think he was actually pictured on Thursday wearing Rangers training gear in St George's Park. I think he's actually been training with the squad since then. But obviously, there was a bit of a hold up with the Sheffield Wednesday owner, Chansiri, holding up the deal. And from the reports, it was just basically out of spite, trying to be difficult. And what he's done to that club, um, just completely ran it into the ground, basically. And then Sheffield Wednesday, they needed to sell because they're a financial mess, and if they don't sort it, many of their players might end up leaving for free anyway. So I'm glad for the sake of, obviously the Sheffield Wednesday fans won't be happy at losing such a good player, but I'm glad for the sake of keeping their club alive. The owners let this deal go through. They'll get a bit of money in, and I'm happy that Rangers have signed what seems to be a good winger. 21 years old, came through PSG's academy, and yeah, Rangers have been crying out for strength on the wings for years, and it looks like we're finally starting that.
Yeah, and I think that's the two key areas. I know Rangers would have needed a lot of signings coming into this window, but central defence and both wings were the real areas that needed new signings, and obviously Russell Martin's addressed that pretty quickly. I think the really interesting thing about Rangers' window so far is that of the seven additions they've made, six of them have been from England. Obviously, Russell Martin, you can see he's been given the reins to kind of go and sign what he believes is the best players that he can mould that new Rangers team around. And some of the signings have been really good. I think Gassama will be a player that can really thrive in Scotland. And some of the other ones especially that really I think will be good signings is De Ziga. I know that's only a loan deal from Wolves, but he's signed for £10 million from Red Star Belgrade just in January there. So you're getting a quality player on loan. And the other one, which I think was a really exciting one, is Taylor Osgard from Luton Town for £3 million, a 4 year deal. And apparently, I seen Andy Halliday was saying on the Open Goal podcast that speaking to some of the Rangers players, he's really impressed in training. So yeah, it seems Rangers have done really good business really early, and they need to get the players in for those big Champions League qualifiers coming up.
Yeah, a week today, the first leg. Unfortunately, I'm skint after my holidays, and I lost my phone, so I had to buy a new one. So I won't be attending that. So I'll be watching on the telly in anticipation. But yeah, I think we have been signing quite well. Um, I didn't watch the Bruges game, but I've watched a few highlights. And my dad watched it, and he said one thing that stood out to him was in the first half, Leon King was playing, and Bruges had a big, sort of physical striker who was winning everything. He couldn't bring it down and hold it up, but he was winning everything in the air, and he was getting bullied by get Leon King was getting bullied by this guy, and then one of Rangers' other centre half signings, Emmanuel Fernandez, came on in the second half. My dad said that he didn't think the striker won another header the whole game. So I think that's what Rangers need as well: dominance in the air, bit of physicality. Because I think that's the kind of guy that they've been relying on for the past few years has been John Souttar, and then whoever's been next to him hasn't been up to it. I mean, well, maybe Leon, you could say Leon Balogun, but he wasn't fit all the time. So I think we've got two very good young physical centre backs in to help back up. And I've liked the transfer strategy so far. It seems to be a mix of experience and youth, and we're not signing guys who are 28 all the time who will demand high wages and maybe have a lot of ability but are injury prone. That seemed to be like the strategy for many years. So it looks like we're trying to sign young and sign experience as well, just to sort of round off the squad.
Yeah, I was actually going to touch on. I know I didn't touch on a minute ago, but Emmanuel Fernandez, because it was a signing that I think the Peterborough fans were really happy with getting £3 million for him.
Is that what
But
it was? 3 million?
yeah, that's the rumoured fee. But Russell Martin came out and said that he sees that he has potential, and one of the things that the Peterborough fans did give him credit for is that he's very good in both boxes. Aerially, he'll be a massive threat.
I
Some of his
think
other
I
defensive
think he's
areas,
got 5 goals last season or something.
yeah, I think he did.
He's
And Nasser Tajiga's pretty tall as well, so you've got two big central defenders coming in, as you said, and then the other one, the experienced campaigner, they brought in Joe Rothwell, the 30-year-old, part of back-to-back promotion campaigns in the English Championship with Leeds and Southampton. So he brings that sort of experience and that consistent mentality that Rangers need in the Scottish Premiership, because I think that's one of the main things that you need in the English Championship is consistency, because there's usually not much between the teams. And he's
consistency
obviously,
and physicality.
yes, and that's a good signing, I think. So yeah, Rangers have really done their business early, and yeah, you'd imagine that there's more new signings coming for
Yeah.
them, and it's a really exciting time for
Just
the
before we
Rangers
move,
fans.
yeah, just before we move on, I just wanted to touch on Nadeem Bayrami. Granted, it was only a pre-season friendly, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But from what I've seen and from what I've read, he was like unplayable against Club Brugge, and I'm hoping that this is a sort of redemption season for him because I think you can definitely see that he did have sort of he does have technical ability. He just never showed it enough, and I think he went into his shell, and he had a lack of confidence. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. He did look really good against Club Brugge.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it gets undermined sometimes what a pre-season does for a player. Um, Jack coming in at January is not always the easiest for players, and um, well, no, it wasn't January he came in. It was last summer, wasn't
It was
it?
last summer, yeah, but it was on deadline.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. Well, he didn't have a pre-season. I remembered there that he came on and scored against Malmo. That was why. But I don't know why I thought he came in January. But the same point, he didn't have a pre-season. And when you don't have a pre-season at the club, I would imagine as a player, it sort of feels like you're trying to catch up. And now he gets a full pre-season under a new manager, and he gets a fresh slate to really impress. And that's what he done against Club Brugge. Obviously, there's not been much coverage on the other Rangers friendlies, but we'll see what team Russell Martin fields in a week's time, and I'm sure that'll be his strongest team at the time, and then Rangers will work from there, and you would imagine there'll be a few more additions before the window shuts.
I'd hope so. I'd hope so. I'd definitely say a right winger. Um, I think Gassama predominantly plays off the left. I think he can play on both sides, but I think he does predominantly play off the left. So I'd say a right winger would be something that I'd definitely want. There's still rumours around other centre backs. Connor Cody deal's been basically done for about 2 weeks or something like that. So um, I'd be interested to see if he comes in. And there has been several rumours around strikers. One really interesting one. I don't know how much substance is in this, but I would love to see him at Ibrox. Would be Luke De Jong. Uh, I think he's class. Like I've seen him a few times when Rangers have come up against them. Obviously, he's got no pace, but if you ask me to choose between him and Jamie Vardy, as an old striker, bringing one in, I'd choose Luke De Jong because I think he's, from what I've seen of him, he's technically good. He can obviously finish. He's good in the air. You know, he can bring it down. He can bring players in into the play, and he's and I think that's more suited. His style is more suited to playing in a Rangers team that'll have the ball all the time rather than a player whose whole uh, maybe this is a bit disrespectful, but a lot of Jamie Vardy's game is running in behind using his pace, which he is losing, and you don't really get a lot of space in behind in Scottish football. So yeah, I think Luke De Jong would be one that I think would be great to have at Rangers, even for a season or two.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. I think Luke De Jong's a better fit, and I think Rangers have been linked with him in the past. But yeah, he's what someone that's obviously proven himself to be a real goal scorer at almost any level he's played at. He even, of course, went to Barcelona for a brief spell. So he would be. I know he's obviously getting on a bit now, but he'd be that quality that Rangers would need. But I think if Rangers were selling both Igaman and Dessers, although the rumours for all Rangers selling fronts have dried up a bit, you wonder whether Rangers are maybe holding out until after the Champions League qualifiers to sell, and try and give themselves the best chance they can do of qualifying, and then maybe they say to the players, okay, after the qualifying's done, you're free to go and leave. I'm thinking Raskin, Gaman, Dessers. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I'd be really interested to see what that first sort of starting 11 in a competitive match looks like. But I think we've spoke. I've rambled on about Rangers for long enough.
yeah. I think we'll move on to Celtic. Obviously, not as much talking points as Rangers. Celtic completed one signing, and it was one we knew about, Hayato Inamura, the Japanese 23-year-old defender. I said that I didn't think he would be part of the first team squad, and Brendan Rodgers even came out and said that. But on his friendly debut, bear in mind it was against Cork City, that he did impress, and may have made a sort of U-turn in the Celtic's manager's thoughts. Celtic have let go of three players. Mike Nawrocki has went on loan to Hanover 96. Lager Bielka has joined SC Braga on a permanent transfer. Celtic recouping about €2 million for him. And then the big one for Celtic, Nicholas Kuhn joins Italian side Como for around €20 million, 18 months after heading to Glasgow. Obviously, his first, I mean, you could say maybe he started not too well at Celtic, finished not too well at Celtic, but the spell he had to start last season was ridiculous, and he was well on track at that point to being player of the season. So I think Celtic have got a fair fee for him, and it's one they can, the Celtic fans will expect to be reinvested because I believe Celtic have only spent around £2 million so far in this window. So the fans will expect money to be spent because there's a lot of worries going about at the moment over Brendan Rodgers' future beyond next summer, and I think a lot of it stems from the future of Scotland's coefficient and the Champions League chances. I don't know if the viewers are aware of it. It's probably something to touch on in another episode, but it's a bit of doom and gloom.
Yeah, I don't even. I'll be honest. I don't even fully understand it yet. I haven't really looked into it properly, but I think with a bit of research, it would be an interesting thing to touch on in a wee video.
Yeah,
Um, but I
yeah,
just I'm going to touch on the sort of the first player you mentioned there that Celtic's confirmed signing, Hayato Inamura. Um, I was in the pub on holiday, and the Celtic v Cork game was on the telly, or Cork v Celtic, whatever. And I thought he was pretty good, pretty impressive. Nice pass. You know how it's like the eye test. Some players just like look good like passing the ball. You know what I mean? I think he had that. He was very attacking. He looked like he was comfortable playing that sort of inverted full back role. Um, and even if Rodgers admitted that maybe uh, he wouldn't have a place in the first team squad just yet, maybe he's changed his mind. Maybe he can change his mind. Because I think we've seen it in the past when managers have actually, I think managers have spoke about it. It's a whole different thing when you can see a player with your own eyes playing in your team, and he could change his mind. And from that sort of, little bit I saw of him on the telly, he looked quite good.
yeah. And I think Celtic have obviously still got a scouting network in Japan that they're using, and if the scouts have seen a player that they're going to be able to bring in for, I think, £200,000.
Was that?
Um, yeah, and it's
Wow.
not obviously, it's quite obviously not a Brendan Rodgers signing because he came out quite quickly and said that he wouldn't be part of the squad. So Celtic have obviously invested in him. It's a bit of it's a win-win because either he goes on to be a really good talent or he doesn't, and it's not much money you've spent on him. But it's nice for him that obviously he's come in and he has impressed on his debut, especially after the managers maybe doubted him slightly. Um,
Yeah.
the only other sort of maybe story to touch on at Celtic at the moment, well, not directly Celtic related, but two former Celts with two interesting stories. Mikey Johnston nearly moving to Flamengo for £5 million, which broke down to uproar from the fans, which is obviously pretty unfortunate for
Right.
um, Johnston. And the other one, uh,
Apparently, Felipe Luis really wanted him as well.
yeah, I seen that.
He's
Felipe
a
Luis
target.
from Atletico and Chelsea left back, of course, was saying that he really wanted to sign him. So yeah, it was an interesting one.
Yeah.
And the other one, the other news story, I'm sure a lot of the viewers have seen this. Kyogo back in the UK,
Right.
completing his £10 million move to Birmingham City in the Championship.
Ren have had a masterclass there, by the way.
Yeah, we have.
Telling him for what they bought him for because he's stunk the gaff, stunk out the gaff in France. I mean, he was
That,
absolutely shocking.
he did. He didn't even get. He wasn't even part of the squad at times. It just shows that sometimes the grass isn't always greener elsewhere, and I think we've seen that quite commonly with Celtic players that have went on to big moves. Celtic won't really care because the money's in their pockets, but it has been interesting the lack of success a lot of the players have had moving down south or across Europe or across to Saudi Arabia like Jota did.
Yeah, I think that also though it showcases the kind of spending power of Birmingham City. You know, because I think they signed Stansfield for a similar amount
Yeah,
last season, and then they've gone and done it again. And I can't remember exactly who the signings were, but I remember that when they signed Kyogo, they signed like quite a lot of players in like a short vicinity. And I was looking at them and I'm going, he's really good. How have they managed to get him? They've just come up from League One, and you can see that the sort of clear sort of financial advantages and ambition that Birmingham City have. Um, they're different to Wrexham in the sense that they actually are just throwing money at the problem. Whereas Wrexham, a lot of people have this notion that they're backed by Hollywood and they're a rich club and all that, but they're maybe in the National League and sort of League Two maybe, but they're not a super rich club by any means. They've had to sort of like run their way up. But anyway, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but
that's what this podcast is about, going off tangents. No, they're not state owned. Um, they're owned by some celebrities and some other financial powers, but they're not your Man City, your PSG, or even close to that.
yeah,
Moving down the league, I'll just sort of pick out other key sort of business I've seen. Hibs, one of the contract renewals you'll be very happy with, Junior Hoylett, signs on for another season.
see,
Uh,
as I said, I liked him. I'm a Junior Hoylett guy now. Is that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it?
No,
Okay.
I think that everyone, well, not maybe not Hearts fans, obviously, but most teams in the league, I think quite like having a player like Junior Hoylett. He shows moments of quality that sometimes the Scottish League needs. And he obviously was a really good player, and he's in his heyday. He's obviously past that now, but he's a good squad player for Hibs. But the big news coming out of Easter Road is obviously their record signing. The striker, I'm not even sure how to pronounce his name, Thibault Clige, I would guess, from Lens in France for over £1 million they've spent on him. The 24-year-old signs on a 3-year deal, and they'll be hoping it goes better than the Dylan Vente signing because that obviously didn't go very well, although they did manage to recoup the fee for him in the end. And I think
I
it
think
probably,
I think they made a profit on him
yeah,
weirdly.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think they did. And I think it probably begs the question: is the Nectar Triantis dream over? You've got to probably think that if they're spending that amount of money on a striker, then they've maybe sort of been
Uh,
told by Sunderland that,
yeah,
that
Ethan,
that's not going to happen.
you've just said Lawn, but Hibs have said he signed from Luzerne in the Swiss
Oh
Super
yeah,
League.
yes, he has. I don't know I don't know how I've got that mixed up. Yeah,
Also,
you're right.
Jordan Obita signed a contract
Yeah,
extension.
I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah, I don't know how I've started a team that has starts with L and it has an Z towards the end. Um, yeah, I don't know how I've got that mixed up. Yeah, but of course, from the Swiss Super League. But I think the Triantis um, sort of hope is over, and that money that maybe they
I
stored away for Triantis, they've
think
obviously chose
Sunderland,
to.
I think Sunderland as well are still, wanting to actually kind of look at him, because he's joined them for pre-season and all that, and all if I mean if he impresses Sunderland and he gets to play in the Premier League, fair enough. You know what I mean? But Aye, Hibs certainly making big moves in the window.
Moving on to Dundee United now, and well, I think they're doing a lot of what they done last season, bringing in a lot of loan signings. It obviously worked really well last season. They got Europe in fourth place, and it looks like they're doing that again. Since we last recorded, they brought in four players, all four of them on loan. They're up to nine signings for the window already. Um, they're all kind of younger players as well, two 20-year-olds and a 21-year-old. Some of them really exciting signings. The one that sticks out, if I had to pick any of them, is the Swedish winger Amar Fata, who signs with a season-long loan from Troyes. Obviously part of the City group. And he actually had a trial last summer at Manchester City just 12 months ago. So it shows the talent he's got, and from the video, the sort of teaser video that Dundee United put on their socials, it looks like he's a real trickster. So he's someone that hopefully can bring a bit of entertainment to the league, a wee bit like Gary Mackay-Steven, hopefully, um, when he was in his prime. Um, at Dundee United, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be honest. I haven't seen the teaser video you're talking about, and I don't know much about the guy, so I can't really talk on it. But it would be cool to see. You do like those players now and again. It was I think I remember Nathan Ottawa for Rangers. He hit out with a rainbow flick in his first game. Or something like that. It nearly came off, but yeah, it's just fun to see that now and again on the pitch.
Yeah, just to quickly gloss over the other United signings today, they announced a Hungarian central defender, Christian Keretsas, who is signed on a season-long loan from um, one of the clubs in the Hungarian Premier Division. Dario Namo, who's the Finnish right back, 20-year-old, again, season-long loan. And then again, Isaac Papo, Ghanaian 21-year-old midfielder, season-long loan from Ferencvaros. So they're signing players that they're helping out other clubs, but they're obviously young players that can still give a lot, and their talents haven't maybe been exposed yet. And Dundee United are looking to benefit off that like they did last season.
Yeah,
And the thing is, because it's not a sort of set squad, it could go very wrong, you feel, for Jim Goodwin and the players. But again, it could strike so well like it did last season.
definitely, definitely. I think sort of with the added um, element of Europe, getting that big squad in is definitely a must. Nine players, you said. I think that's a good start for them. I know they did lose a few, so they need to keep. I think they'd probably need to bring in a few more bodies because we've seen in the past how European sort of football can take a toll on the clubs, with the exception of Celtic and Rangers. I think to a lesser extent, Rangers have managed to perform in Europe, although they haven't been excellent in the league. But it's not been like the level of drop off that we've seen from like Hearts last season, and and other clubs like Kilmarnock as well last season. Also, so I think just getting the bodies in, and even if they're maybe not up to you know the same kind of standard as their first team, just having those players there to help sort of carry the workload, I think is super crucial for a squad going into a European campaign.
Definitely, and I think Dundee United's squad was stretched last season anyway, and that's not even um, bringing in Europe. Moving down the league, Aberdeen have made two signings. One of them, a really exciting one. Adil Aucic joins on a season-long loan from Sunderland. A formerly
I read,
highly touted talent at
see when I read,
Paris Saint-Germain.
I was like, "What the heck is going on here? This used to be a career mode wonder kid." and now he's at Aberdeen. Absolutely
Yeah,
mental.
yeah. Um, he's one that another really exciting player. And yeah, maybe he can sort of find his career at Aberdeen, because he is still pretty young in the grand scheme of things. The other signing for Aberdeen is very young. Well, actually, his birthday was the other day, so was both their new signings' birthdays were the other day, actually. Um, Icelandic youth international Kjartan Mark Kjartansson, from Stjarnan on a 4 year deal. He was only 18 years old when he signed. He's now 19, but he's already played 70 times at club level, so he's got that experience. He's a defensive midfielder, and he'll be learning under the likes of Graham Shinnie, which could be a good thing for his career. It could be a bad thing for his career. I think people will debate over that. Graham Shinnie's not always the most universally popular character across Scottish football, but he's obviously adored by the Aberdeen
He's a
faithful.
bit of a, but he does the job. So
Yeah,
you can fill in the blank there. But
yeah.
you
But
know,
sometimes that's what you need in your team. I think that makes a good team. You need that player that really annoys the other team, annoys the other team's fans, and Graham Shinnie's definitely that character. Moving on again, Hearts, a big player who's signed on, a big player who's left. I'll start with the player who's signed on, Lawrence Shankland. The transfer saga finally finished, and he did eventually re-sign at Hearts on a 3 year deal after it looked like he would be going elsewhere for long periods of time. He marked his return with two penalty conversions in the win at the weekend over Dunfermline, and then the other big news coming out of Tynecastle was that obviously James Penrice has went to AEK Athens for £2 million, which is an absolutely brilliant bit of business for Hearts considering they picked him up from Livy last summer on a free.
I didn't realise he was as old as he was either, because he looks like a
Yeah,
wee. I thought he was like young, like 21 or something, but 26, £2 million. That's good business.
yeah. I mean, it'd be good business at any point for Hearts, but the fact that they obviously got him for a free just 12 months ago makes it even better. And Lawrence Shankland, what do you think about them re-signing him? Because I imagine he's going to be on big wages. Do you think it's one that will pay off or not pay off?
Um, I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted because I think he's played with them for a little bit. He was demand. The reports were saying the Hearts weren't willing to match what he was demanding. I don't know exactly the way it went, whether they actually coughed up the cash or he's put his feelers out and nobody wants him after his poor season and he's went, oh, I'll just go back to Hearts. So, because what is he, he's 29 or something.
Yes, I think so. He's around that age bracket anyway.
So he's pushing 30. He had a down season. And I think it would definitely would be a risk for someone to take him. Granted, it would have been on a free transfer, so I don't know. I mean, this video will come out in the next week probably. But I spoke to Adam Kennedy a couple of weeks ago about it, and I think he was quite conflicted on the situation. So yeah, interesting, very interesting. So, but if you look at it on the face of it, he's a proven goal scorer. He's their captain, crucial part of the team. So I'd say overall it's a positive, but we'll need to see how it works out.
Yeah, definitely. And I imagine the Hearts fans will feel pretty hard done by the wage he's probably taken unless he gets back to his sort of 30 goal a season best. Motherwell have made a few additions as
Thank
well. What is it?
Nothing. No, I hope the mic didn't pick that up. Just
Um,
me.
Motherwell have made that. Oh, no, okay, right. I know what. I can already work out what you've said. Um, Sosa Sewell joins on a season-long loan from West Bromwich Albion, former Celtic academy player, New Zealand international in career mode, FIFA career mode, free agent legend. Elijah Just joins from AC Horsens. He was formerly managed
Who's
there.
that? Sewell.
He's a striker from West Brom. Um,
Is he?
Scott,
Is he like Nigerian Scottish?
uh, possibly he's African Scottish anyway.
All right,
But I
okay.
think he,
Can
but it's a
we're gonna pause the recording a wee minute here. I need to check something. Sorry for the we pause there in the recording. Turns out that my little brother actually plays rugby with Sewell's little brother. They're quite an athletic family because it's the Glasgow Academy for Rugby that my little brother plays for. So the name just rang a bell. So I had to go and fact check that quickly.
yeah. It's funny. It's a small world. Motherwell have completed the signing of an actual player who is chosen to represent Nigeria. Um, Ibrahim Said, who signs from Viborg in Denmark. He's been there for quite a while and played a lot of games. I think he's 25 years old or something around that age. And then Emmanuel Longelo or Longero from Birmingham City on a 2 year deal. So Motherwell have been active. You can see bringing in some old players that Jens Berth Velasquez worked under, like Elijah Just, and then some players from down south, like almost every team in the Scottish Premiership does. Moving down the league again, Kilmarnock made a few signings. De Janeiro Daniels, I think that's how you say his name. The Cork City striker signs on a 2 year deal, and I think he scored at the weekend um, in his first competitive match in the Premier Sports Cup. He also picked
Oh,
up Tom Lowry.
sorry, as well. I've just been reading up on this, and Motherwell were giving facts about Sewell. Fact three: Sewell's younger brother used to play for Motherwell as a youngster. However, his brother has since switched sports and now plays rugby.
There you go.
Sorry,
There you go.
I just thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and he's back in Scotland now.
Yeah,
After his brief period away at West Brom, and yeah, you hope he goes on to have a successful career, and maybe Motherwell will be the jump start he needs.
yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I've kind of thrown the track of
no,
this podcast completely off, but
not at all, not at all. I'm just going through the business here, giving every team their moment in the limelight. Tom Lowry joins Kilmarnock on a 2 year deal, formerly of Portsmouth and Crewe Alexandra, and Kilmarnock also confirmed the signing of another goalkeeper, Welsh goalkeeper Eddie Beach, who is a former Chelsea sort of youth product. And you wonder, he started one of their recent friendlies, I think. So you wonder whether he's maybe going to be the first choice with Robbie McCrory not to really he's not really impressed too much since signing from Rangers. Um, and then moving down the league again, going to Dundee. I'll have to actually look at what Stephen Presley's been up to. Obviously, a really disappointing start to his competitive tenure at the weekend. We'll get on to that. Signings wise, they made a few signings earlier in the window. I don't know if they made much as of late. I'm just checking at the moment. Let me see. Um, Not much is coming up. No, I don't think Dundee have made too many additions, which will worry their fans. I think a lot of the talk coming out of Dens was that the players were really impressed with Presley and his training, but obviously hasn't transpired into the first Premier Sports match with that defeat against Airdrie.
I saw a report saying that they were ready to bring in another midfielder because it exposed their very bare squad. The very bare was in quotation marks, so I don't know where that quote came from, but yeah, definitely that sort of that defeat is concerning.
Yeah. One signing I've found, I think, is English striker Ashley Hay on a 2-year deal from Brentford. Um,
They've
so
signed a couple of guys from Brentford. I think that's Presley's connections.
yeah, quite possibly. That's two strikers they've signed already because they obviously brought in that Emily Aqua earlier in the window. I don't know if strikers exactly a position they need to strengthen in with Simon Murray, but obviously they need numbers in, and that's what they've chosen to strengthen so far. But I think they'll need a lot more strengthening if they've survived this season. We've had our doubts since the appointment of Stephen Presley, and that first result hasn't exactly filled us or any of the fans, I would imagine, with any more confidence in them.
Yeah. Although the Premier Sports Cup did have a few sort of interesting results over the weekend. Is that all the clubs? Are we missing
I've
anyone?
got. You can we can start talking about the Premier Sports Cup, and I'll look to see if the two newly promoted teams have done anything of real interest. But
The
if you
only
want to
thing,
talk
the only
about,
thing I've really seen about Falkirk because Ross McIver's linked with a move away. Um,
I haven't seen that, but it's an
but
interesting one.
nothing really concrete. There's just reports that there's interest from clubs in Scotland and down south. So people monitoring him. But
I
yeah,
know.
um, I'll just read out the results and we can pick up on some of the more interesting ones. So Edinburgh City 1, Partick Thistle 4, East Kilbride 1, St Johnstone 3, Stranraer 1, Ross County 1. Stranraer picking up the bonus point, beating Ross County on penalties. Massive result for them. Annan Athletic 1, Forfar Athletic 1, Annan winning. No, sorry, Forfar winning 4-2 on penalties. Brora Rangers 0, Kilmarnock 2, Brechin City 0, Falkirk 7. So that's I think that's definitely the biggest result of the weekend. I think McIver got on the score sheet in that one. Uh, yeah, he did indeed. And Scott Arfield with a brace, Tate with a hat trick, and your man with a goal as well. So that's definitely a big result for Falkirk and a massive blow for Brechin. Dundee nil, Airdrie 1. We touched on it. Big result for Airdrie. Really poor from Dundee. Bonnyrigg Rose nil, Alloa Athletic 1. A lot of away wins going on here. East 5-1, Livingston 2. Arbroath nil, St Mirren nil. Arbroath picking up the bonus point on penalties. Have that, Ryan Niven. Um, he watches every episode, so he'll be able to reply to that. Elgin City 1, Wraith Rovers 5, Spartans 2, Queen's Park 1. That's an interesting result. Peterhead 2, Greenock Morton 4, Stirling Albion 0, Hamilton Accies 2, Clyde 2, Motherwell 2, Motherwell coming out on top on penalties, and Hearts 4, Dunfermline Athletic 1. And obviously, we have the second round of matches today. So definitely some interesting games there, some interesting results, some Premiership sides. Um, not doing the business. Some Championship sides not doing the business. So Scottish football's well and truly back.
Yeah, definitely. And you always think that the Premier Sports Cup groups are going to be easy to predict, the Scottish Premiership teams at the top of them, but it doesn't always work out that way, as we've seen over the weekend. Um, yeah, some surprising results, and that's what we want from the cup competitions. I think it's been highly debated between Scottish football fans whether the current format of the tournament's the best. But it gives the lower league clubs a chance to really cause an upset, multiple chances to really cause an upset. And you mentioned about away wins. I know some Kilmarnock fans. I think there was a couple hundred of them that trekked all the way to Brora. I think it was Brora Rangers they were playing. So it's
Yeah.
quite the journey for a Premier Sports Cup match. But that's why Scotland has the accolade of being the best attended footballing nation per capita in Europe because of stuff like that. And yeah, and hopefully the Premier Sports Cup can bring more upsets and more shock results because obviously we've got what, four more rounds of matches, three more rounds of matches, something like that.
He's
The
back.
only looking at the two promoted teams, just going back to signings, the only really notable one I picked up was Lewis Nielsen signing for Falkirk on a season-long loan from Hearts, which I think's a good bit of business from John McGlynn. But yeah, I think there's obviously still a long way to go in the window, and a lot of the clubs still need a lot more bodies in, it would seem.
Yeah, definitely. Still a lot of exciting sort of things happening. Gosh, my brain's just gone there. Premier Sports Cup, we were talking about people bringing people in, clubs bringing people in. But yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of exciting things to come, and it'll be interesting to see what the clubs do. And I'll be honest, Ethan, I'm getting ready. I'm excited for the league to start again. I'm excited for obviously Rangers as Champions League qualifiers. It's starting to get that feeling again of a new season.
Yeah, definitely. The buzz is well and truly here. The season started when the Scottish season started, pretty much when the Premier Sports Cup started. Before you would say that even official what footballing world season ended, with obviously the Club World Cup
Yeah.
finishing the day after the Premier Sports Cup started. So football has become a sport of no limits, no endings. It seems, but yeah,
I'll,
it's really
I'll,
exciting.
I'll be honest though, like when the football season ends and there's no like international tournament on, and we're all like, oh, what are we gonna watch? You would think you'd watch the Club World Cup, but I literally only watched the final.
I
I,
watched a few games.
I didn't watch any other game, but the final was something else, man. Uh, we were gonna talk about that, weren't we?
Yeah, we'll just go on to that. Yeah, I was just going to mention about the Scottish football season. We've got two of the most exciting videos of the season probably coming up soon. We're going to be doing a kit ranking video of the Scottish Premiership kits, and then we'll do our Scottish Premiership predictions right before the season begins. But yeah, I think we should discuss the Club World Cup. I think we sort of discussed it as it went on, but obviously, the latter stages have, have been and gone, and Chelsea have been crowned well, not the inaugural champions of yeah, you could say inaugural champions of this version of the Club World Cup, and in surprising fashion as well.
Yeah, definitely. I was a bit in shock, but from right out the gate, they came out and hounded PSG, and sort of took the tact of exposing a guy that we all thought was the best left back in the world. Probably still is. One bad game doesn't make you not the best player in your position, but Nuno Mendes all season has been absolutely perfect, untouchable, impeccable, and the way Chelsea set up made him look like he didn't know what he was doing. He was getting dragged about all over the place. Uh, Cole Palmer and Malo Gusto had him on strings, and obviously Palmer made them pay. I think more so with that second goal, the dummy, the sort of oh, just sent them all to the shops and bent it in. And then again for the third goal, cutting inside, slid it through to João Pedro, who looks like a revelation. for Chelsea, and Pedro with a beautiful finish, and they were all over them. And you thought that, well, Ethan, I remember at 2-0, we were talking in the chat, and you said PSG are still going to win. And I'll be honest, I kind of thought I agreed with you. We all thought that they'd get back into it. And then Chelsea scored the third, and you're like, okay, they're not getting back into it. Chelsea have just, you know, outplayed them, outran them. Enzo Maresca deserves a lot of credit for sort of tactically outclassing them. And Andros Townsend kept going on about it, but I'd have to agree with him. Uh, what did Maresca kind of see where he's got, okay, we're going to target Nuno Mendes? Because PSG's fullbacks, they do play high, but they've been done it so many times, the recovery pace, the sort of solidity of them. Um, and even if I was going to choose one side to attack, I don't think I would have chosen Nuno Mendes.
I don't know. I think although Nuno Mendes is probably the best left back in the world at the moment, you could argue the point that Hakimi's maybe the best full back in the world.
I
I
don't
mean, both
know. I think Nuno Mendes is more defensively sound.
possibly, yeah. I
That
think
was kind of the
you
point I
could
was
definitely
getting
make that point, yeah.
at. That that's not the side I would have chose to exploit.
Yeah, but obviously there's not Cole Palmer on the other side, so you've got to weigh that up as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
And he probably was. I mean, the goals were pretty. They were really well made by Chelsea, but they were pretty easy, cheap goals that PSG gave away, all made by Cole Palmer. And he was probably the difference. And you can say that Chelsea had an easy run to the final, and yes, maybe they did, but they absolutely thrashed the European champions and team that not many teams have been able to get close to this season in the final. That's a
Now
real statement.
Chelsea are confirmed the best team in the world.
Yeah, well, it doesn't always work like that. But my point was going to be that I think Chelsea have got to be considered as challengers for next season's Premier League now,
I don't know
because
if
I know Liverpool have
did you
got a really strong squad.
did you see that
Arsenal,
report that came out during our recording?
no.
So Newcastle have been going for Hugo Ekitike, right? And now many outlets are reporting that Liverpool have made contact for Alexander Isak.
Oh,
if they get
like
Alex,
that.
if they get Alexander Isak, it's over for everyone.
Yeah, it's going to be like the Avengers at Liverpool. But no, I think if Liverpool don't get Isak, then I think I think they would obviously be the favourites. But there's no reason why Chelsea can't go and have a go. Man City and Arsenal the same. So yeah, I think that's the other thing I wanted to touch on in the Club World Cup. Was something that happened in the quarter-finals, I believe, was Jamal Musiala's injury. A really unfortunate and terrible injury that he suffered. And that was probably the main. I mean, there's been a lot of scrutiny over the tournament, weather problems and stuff like that, but I think that reminds you that these players are human beings, and if they're overworked and not even overworked. Just you can get an injury at any point, and will he be thinking that it was worth playing in the Club World Cup to get that injury? No, he definitely wouldn't be. And yeah, it's really unfortunate because he just came back from an injury as well. So yeah, I think the tournaments definitely went better than maybe we predicted, but it's still one that it's not very ethical for football, I don't think, and that would be completely fair to say. I
The
think,
only silver lining I think would be the fact that it is now every 4 years.
yeah,
That's the only silver.
yeah, definitely. That it's not every year. Obviously, it could be every year because you've got World Cups and European Championships, Copa Americas, and whatever else. But yeah, players have got to prepare themselves that they're not going to get big breaks anymore. That's a thing of the past, and for the real players that want to win everything and are at the top of football. That's just the way it has to be now. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to think if there's any. Is there anything else you want to touch on from the Club World Cup?
Um, maybe the sort of shenanigans before the game. Blooming, I know they've been doing it the whole tournament, but I think it's just nonsense the way they're announcing the players like basketball players. Bloody, you've got Michael Buffer, and on this side, 6-time champions of England, blah blah blah. And then he's got
Well,
PSG 13 times champions of France. And then he hits us with the let's get ready to rumble before the game. I said to you, it was like a bloody NBA tip off. It was scheduled to kick off at 8 o'clock and it didn't kick off till like quarter past or something like that. What's going on with my sport? We're becoming
yeah,
American.
yeah. No, I agree. I think it is a bit over the top, but yeah, if you let the Americans, not try to stereotype or anything, but if you look at their sports, they are a bit over the top with that kind of stuff. And if you put the keys
Especially,
in their hands,
it's become a culture where they need to be entertained every single second. Uh,
yeah,
it's a thing in America. You've got I remember I was watching the NBA playoffs and some like hoop gymnastic person for China was like dancing on top of a ball and throwing stuff. And I swear this was at like a not even halftime. I swear it was like after like the first quarter or something. It's absolutely mental. And they're always like throwing t-shirts and if you make this shot from half court, you get $20,000. Like every second, mate. And yeah, it was. And do you know what annoyed me as well? They managed to, in that delay to the kickoff, they managed to throw in a couple of wee ad breaks as well. Sneaking in their American adverts and cultures and this sounds like I hate Americans. I don't, but it's their sports culture and the way uh, where everything needs to have adverts in it. You need to be entertained at every moment, and I just nah nah.
yeah. And I think another thing is that it's fair enough in basketball, American football, ice hockey, and everything else, but I think football is well and truly been as the European sport, and I think
It's the
some
what
of us,
it's the most popular sport in the world. You don't need to mess with
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. It's been nearly 200 years a competitive sport, and there's not been any problems with it. So,
Well, there
but
has
anyway,
been problems with
there has been
all
problems,
those kind
but
of
I mean,
problems.
you know what I mean? The fundamentals of the starting the game and stuff. We don't need halftime shows either. And I think that's what I want to touch on because I think that was just it was just poor. At least with the Super Bowl, they kind of go all at it. This was like a kind of half-assed attempt in the corner of the stadium. Yeah, so it was yeah, it wasn't great. And then Donald Trump at the end.
Clearly sponsored by Adidas as well.
Yeah, clearly sponsored by Adidas. Yeah, you can tell that. And then Donald Trump invading Chelsea's celebrations at the end.
Oh,
Uh,
God. He's like, what?
yeah,
He's so confused.
yeah,
And all the Chelsea
um,
players are jumping about, and Trump's just there like,
yeah. And the Chelsea players that have lifted that trophy and been part of that squad will have to live with the fact that Donald Trump was part of the celebrations, and maybe some of them are Donald Trump supporters. You never know, but I imagine a lot of them probably aren't. So yeah, that's
oh,
another thing that
he's probably wondering about where the LeBron James of soccer was.
probably. Um, but yeah, I think the Club World Cup. I'm glad we can put it on the back burner for 4 years, but we'll just need to see because we don't want the actual World Cup being like it was there at the Club World Cup. Moving on to another big tournament that's happening this summer, the Women's Euros. The group stage is just finished. The four groups have concluded. We've got our quarter-finals set up. England are there after they thrashed Wales the other night. They'll be looking to defend their titles. Obviously, they won it the last time. So it's been a really good, well, recently it's been a really good time for England in the sense of the women's team and the under 21s. It's just the actual national team that haven't had too much success. But I'll just run through the groups and who's progressed. So from Group A, it was Norway and Switzerland. Group B, Spain and Italy. Group C, Sweden and Germany. And Group D, France and England with 6 points after they lost. I believe it was their opening game to France. Which had a few controversial decisions, I believe. But there's been a lot of goals in the tournament. Just looking at some of the recent games, 5-2, 6-1, 4-1, 3-2. So yeah, it's been pretty entertaining so far. But from a Scottish point of view, we'll be hoping that England don't retain their title.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on women's football. Um, However, from what I've seen, and just I have seen a few games, and from what I've seen from like the football season, and dipping in and out, kind of with a very novice level of knowledge, but I can't see past Spain.
No, yeah,
They're
and
ins-
neither.
they're absolutely insane. Their team's just packed full of world class players, Ballon d'Or winners.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think they're the obvious favourites, and I don't think they've ever won it before. Because I think England won it last time. The Netherlands won it in 2017, then Germany won it the three times before that. So, yeah, I think Spain are obviously the favourites. You've got um, Patelas there, who's I think one of the best players in the world. I think she might have won the Ballon d'Or. I don't actually know, but I know Bonmati as well. Both of them playing for Barcelona. Bonmati won the Ballon d'Or. I think the last 2 seasons. So yeah, the Spanish team's pretty good. So yeah, I think it'd be safe to put your bets there. And they play Switzerland in the quarterfinals. So yeah, we thought we would just touch on the women's Euros quick, and we will probably cover it throughout the knockout stages. But yeah, I think me and Alex are hedging our bets on Spain, which is quite a safe bet. Although these tournaments always have upsets, so you never know. Moving on to some other talking points. I think one that's a bit controversial. Nottingham Forest's situation with the Europa League or lack of. Leon were facing we're facing relegation to League Two after financial it was financial fair play misconduct, I think. But they obviously managed to escape those concerns and they're back in League One, which means they qualify for the Europa League, therefore knocking Nottingham Forest out the Europa League because they have owners or shareholders at both clubs, so they can't have both clubs in the same competition, which I think is just farcical, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Leon, just touching on Leon, though, it's so funny. Do you know, I saw a thing recently about how poorly they've been run. Did you know that the Leon owner actually used, I think it's either euros or pounds, but it's 91 million of their money on Botafogo so they could try and win the Copa Libertadores.
Oh,
They
well,
did, they
I think
did win it,
honestly, but
but
yeah,
he took money out of Leon to spend it on another club.
yeah.
It's
Um,
absolutely mental. I think it's unfair on Nottingham Forest after what they've done this season. And I think I don't know how exactly it works, but if anyone should be getting bumped down a competition, it should be Leon.
Yeah, wait, am I saying no? Wait, it's not Nottingham Forest that I got bumped out. It's Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I was a bit confused.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's Nottingham Forest that are profiting. I was thinking there. Um, yeah, I've got that completely wrong. But no, Crystal Palace have been knocked out of Europa League and into Conference League. They, of course, won the FA Cup. Should be entering them Europa League, but because of dual ownership rules and stuff like that, they can't have two teams in the same competition, which I think we've seen in the past plenty of times between sister clubs and whatever else. You think of Manchester City and Girona, the Red Bull clubs. So I don't really see what loophole they're running to be able to have their two teams in the same competition when um, Leon and Crystal Palace, well, Crystal Palace ultimately been punished as a result. And I don't know if you've seen I think I might have mentioned it on here before, that Nottingham Forest were actually buying players off of Botafogo. Um, as you mentioned, one of the same owners as Leon, and people were believing that they were actually trying to fund Leon's safety in Liga, and so they could get Europa League. Um, which was it was quite a funny theory, but definitely one that could be real. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that Crystal Palace had been ruled out of that competition because they deserve to be there after winning their first trophy in a long time. It might even be their first major trophy ever, was it?
It's their first ever major honour.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah,
won
exactly.
playoffs, they've won lower divisions, but they've never won a major honour, and I think it's a real shame. However, silver lining, I think the competition they've been bumped into, they're more likely to win.
Yeah, definitely. But a club of their stature and of any Premier League club, I think we've spoke about this before, but I don't think there's really any point of any teams from the top five leagues being in the Conference League because financially it's not too beneficial and they will just win it anyway, as we've seen with Chelsea this season. And I think that'll continue. And I think Crystal Palace will be the favourites probably, or they'll certainly be there or thereabouts. Um, Moving on to the last talking point of the podcast. I know we've went on a lot of segments this episode, but there's a lot to cover. When we've not really been here for 2 weeks. I just wanted to ask you, Alex, your thoughts on Nico Williams and his extension at Athletic Club Bilbao for 10 years.
Yeah, it's mad. Um, After the announcement of his extension, I think he lost like 3 million Instagram followers as well. Clearly, a lot of raging Barca fans who wanted him at the club. I just, I don't see. I think he'll just end up like his brother, just there his whole career. Because I don't see anyone paying the fee to get him out of a 10-year contract.
Well, I think the fee's only like 80 million, which is a lot of money, but for
Is
the
that his
usual,
release clause?
yeah, I think so.
All right, okay, fair enough. Maybe that was
It's not,
maybe that was part of it. He says, "I'll sign on for 10 years, but you better put a blooming release clause." Well, I know that's a rule in La Liga, but you better put a decent release clause in there in case I want to go.
yeah. Um, because I know there's been ones in the past. Karim Benzema, definitely. I think Gavi as well has a £1 billion release clause, which is just ridiculous. But yeah,
I think Ansu Fati had a crazy release clause as well when he
yeah,
did an extension at Barcelona.
yeah. But I think it's a really interesting one because you understand the point of view that Athletic Bilbao, they're only going to take players from the Basque region, so it narrows down their opportunities for players. And when you get a talent like Nico Williams, then you want to keep hold of him. I know he was already on a quite a high wage, so I imagine he's been bumped up to I'm going to guess around £200,000 a week, and if you work that out, that's in a over 10 years. That's like in £100 million contract. So yeah, he's tied down himself and his
He's not
family for
Jack-
generations. So
on Jackson Hayes' contract.
yeah, probably not. NBA money is quite ridiculous, but for someone playing for Athletic Bilbao, not one of the bigger clubs in Spain, but not one of the big three, it is a ridiculous amount of money that Bilbao have forked out to have him, and they'll just be hoping that the unfortunate doesn't happen and he gets an injury. But if it's to go, if it's anything, if his brother's anything to go off of, then that will not be a problem because I think he has one of the most ridiculous stats for um, time without missing a game or something like that in La Liga. So yeah, it's an interesting
I
one,
think it's
but
over 600 consecutive games.
yeah, I
He's
mean that is just crazy.
mental.
Yeah, but yeah, I would have liked to see him at Barcelona from a neutral point of view, but obviously Barcelona's finances they couldn't make that happen. But the opportunity will still probably be there in the future. At 80 million. Um,
It looks like they might try and bring in Marcus Rashford.
yeah, a wee bit of a contrast in career to Nico. Well, not really. He came up and done really well at his club that he originated from, but I think they're definitely in different trajectories of their careers at the moment.
Yeah.
If I had to say, but I think unless you've got anything else to cover, I think that's us all caught up.
Uh, Not off the top of my head. No, I think we're all good.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Alex, and thank you very much for watching. Check out the podcast on our Twitter at the Dugout 2024. Check out the TikToks. Alex is back on there after his holiday. I had to take the reins. I tried my best, but I'll hand the keys back to Alex for that one. So thank you very much for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.